I think we are good to start. Welcome to our very first session of Finance Fridays. It's a very small, unique idea I have. Okay. Whatever is happening in recent times in terms of capital market finance as a sector, we can connect the points to our CMA curriculum or any other professional course curriculum and try to make the most out of it. And secondly, also an opportunity for Q&A to see what queries you have, concerns you have, and how I can do well to take care of them. आज का session is quite an interesting one. So I'll give you some background behind this. So I was going to my college. I'm a visiting faculty at one of the colleges in Pune, BMCC. So on my way, somewhere around 9:30 a.m., I get a call from my content partner. There is a firm that I have been signed by where I make content for different MNCs in India, which are mainly into finance. I also work with one of the biggest brokerage houses in India, but with their regional content team, just to see what they're posting on YouTube and LinkedIn. Because they need an expert, right? You are writing about finance, but when you don't know about anything about finance, you need someone to quality check it. So I get a call around 9:30 a.m. saying that, Aditya, the market has crashed. Something crazy is happening. Can you look into it? And when I started reading about it, I got to know I was expecting the market correction, matlab whatever the level Sensex had achieved and Nifty had achieved. I was expecting that there was supposed to be a normal correction or natural correction. कि market बहुत ऊपर है. Investors think that the overall market is overvalued. Let's sell it. When something is very expensive and you don't think it is worthy enough, you tend to sell it. ये नहीं हुआ था लेकिन. Our market crashed mainly because of global factors. And whenever global factors are adding, there is also a way where you can predict this in advance. Okay. मैं prediction पे ज़्यादा जाऊंगा नहीं, but I'll give you a very small hint. Study about something called as gift nifty. मैं इसका एक background देता हूँ. What is gift nifty? There is a gift city in Gujarat, which is being set up. One idea behind setting this city was Indian capital market should be open for international traders as well. And this demand was done mainly from Singapore exchange, that they were quite interested in investing in India. So what our government or other our exchanges have done is they have set up a special index for them, special market arrangements for them, which go beyond our times. This market opens before our Indian market opens, and whatever is happening in the market, there is a good correlation between movement or price movement in this market, gift nifty, और हमारा जो सेंसेक्स निफ्टी है इसमें good correlation. मतलब whatever is happening in gift nifty टू सम एक्सटेंट वही सेम सिनेरियो हमारे निफ्टी में भी होगा. मार्केट ऊपर जा रहा है इन गिफ्ट निफ्टी, आर निफ्टी विल ऑल्सो गो अप. वहां पे नीचे जा रहा है, हमारा भी नीचे जाएगा. 80-90% कोरिलेशन है. I hope this part is clear. So global factors had started acting up, and potentially global factors I thought was के पूरे दुनिया का, okay, the world's mother capital market is in US. So my prediction was something coming in from US, maybe Donald Trump और कैमिला हैरिस का जो भी चल रहा है whatever, उसके वजह से मार्केट क्रैश हुआ होगा. It wasn't even that. It really made me curious. Then I got to know Japan was the one who was behind all this, and mainly Bank of, उनकी जो central bank है, Bank of Japan, they had made some changes to their interest rate, which was quite unlikely, but I could see that coming. मतलब currency की हालत बहुत खराब थी उनकी. Okay, when your currency is depreciating every other day, obvious है कि your central bank wouldn't just sit back and watch this. They will do something to protect it. So Bank of Japan made some changes. I'll simplify this for you eventually, but stay on with me. Bank of Japan ने ऐसे कुछ कर दिया जिसके वजह से the whole world crashed, not just India. First Japan kind of showed some recovery, but eventually it crashed. It showed recovery in debt market वैसे. Equity markets crashed. Next one was US. Next one was India. With pretty much a lot of advanced markets crashed. So आज देखते हैं कि what led to overall crash in the global markets, including Indian market. Let's start with extreme basics. Okay. वैसे it's an open session, interactive session. If you have any questions, just unmute and ask me. If you want me to repeat something in Hindi, I can do that. If you want me to repeat something in Marathi, I can do that. But that's the only two additional languages I know. Other than that, if you want me to repeat anything, happy to do that. Okay, very much basic. When you have, let's say, a simple amount with you, $100. Your overall income, your overall residual income, to a large extent, is controlled by government. Government kind of manipulates, or your central bank kind of manipulates around what will they do with your income. I'll give you a very easy example. If the government wants you to save money, what they will do, they will increase the interest rate offered in the bank. Let's say we have SBI in India. Let's take Indian example for now. Let's say you have 100 rupees. If you go to SBI and suddenly you see that SBI is offering 9% or even 15% FD pay, fixed deposit, the bank is kind of manipulating you to save money. And when does this occur? When there is overconsumption in the market. See, as an economy, the idea of any government or any central bank for that matter is to have a balance between demand and supply. What happens if demand is higher? There is something called as inflation. I'll break this down for you as well. Think of it. There is only one movie theater, okay, and there are 100 seats. Now, if there are 150 people asking to watch this movie, demand is higher than supply. So what will happen? The movie theater owner will change the ticket price from 500 to maybe 750. And maybe 50 people would choose not to watch this because it is too expensive. And this is how equilibrium is met. So when your price is going up, in Hindi we call it महंगाई. जब महंगाई बढ़ती है, when your prices are going up, this is called as inflation. And why inflation happens? Your demand is greater than your supply. As simple as that. Vice versa दिखते. And under this scenario, what government wants then? क्योंकि बहुत लोगों के पास पैसा है, a lot of people have money. 150 people chose to watch movie even though the ticket price was 500, and government wanted to control that because ज़्यादा inflation हो गया. If everything is expensive, the economy would collapse. There's middle class, there's poor class who cannot afford, you and I cannot afford to buy such stuff. In that case, the economy would collapse. So in that case, what government will do? Government will simply offer higher interest rate, 9%, 15%. So instead of watching movie or spending on frivolous things, a smart person will consider that, let me go and deposit it in the bank. After 1 year, on 100 rupees, I will get extra 15 rupees as interest because interest rate is 15%. And with this 115, I might consider to do something in future. एक साल के बाद. That's the government's idea to control over demand or excessive demand in an economy. Vice versa, अगर supply ज़्यादा है, let's say there are 10 theaters and enough people aren't there to watch movie, the demand is lower. What will happen? The ticket price will come down, which kind of happened for last 4 to 5 months. I think there wasn't a good movie except 𝐔𝐒, so prices have come down. So जब supply ज़्यादा है, demand कम है, of course the things are good, but then businesses are suffering. अगर supply ज़्यादा है, it's bad for any business, right? Think of PVR. It's not good for PVR when everything is going down. If PVR is not performing, government wouldn't get tax. And government wouldn't get tax, then government also feels disheartened. Then under such scenario, government actually wants you to spend. And when government wants you to spend, what will government do? Any guesses? Interest rate में कुछ change करेंगे? Will they change anything in their interest rate?
Lower the interest
Lower
rate.
the interest rate.
Spot on, Jyotika. Excellent. Government will simply say interest rate is 2% or 3%, and a smart person would think this is not worth it. I'm not going to wait 1 year just to get 2 rupees or 3 rupees on investment of 100 rupees. So this investor would simply go and spend. Plus the scenario is in such a way that price is lower, it is worth spending. But after the spending goes up, again the prices go up because demand goes up, and overall we are moving towards equilibrium. That's the overall idea of a government or a central bank in an economy. Okay. Are the basic fundamentals clear? If this is clear, we can move on to US and Japan story. Inflation kya hota hai and how government or bank manipulates interest rate. Please press Y in the chat if this is clear. Okay, I can see a lot of whys. Let's talk about US for 5 to 10 minutes. US में क्या हुआ था? A little bit of history lesson as well. Somewhere around 2004 to 2007, the consumption went up like anything. Okay. Banks were given a free hand to increase credit limits in US because the government was very rich. ठीक है, तो वो they can afford to do that. So during this time when consumption went really, really high, so demand was exponentially higher than supply and inflation was actually at all-time high. And somewhere around 2007, so this is interest rate. And as inflation kept on growing, to control this inflation from 2004 to 2007, the interest rate also moved from somewhere around, let's say, 2% or 3% to as high as 5%, approximately, taking assumptions over here. So this is twice as high as their usual rate. Over here, we had the crisis, housing crisis. Crisis we'll discuss this in some other lecture, but यहाँ पे crisis हुआ था, and after that people just had no money. A lot of investors lost their money, and the demand kind of went blank, zero demand. And after this, government actually got worried, okay, how to save the economy. So they did something interesting. They introduced something called as quantitative easing. Quantitative easing matlab they came up with an interest rate which was as low as 0% to 1%. And this was actually golden period for all the businesses. Businesses borrowed money like anything because it was free money being given away. They built their additional products, technology based on this, and they become, again, they made a big comeback in the market. And after that, again, in demand was back on track. So interest rate वापस बढ़ा दिया. The same thing happened actually again. And now we are coming to our story again. Okay. Somewhere around 2020, after COVID crisis, again, the demand was at all-time low. So when demand was at all-time low, US government decided, chalo, we'll do the same thing. We'll lower the interest rate. After lowering the interest rate, plus there was a lot of political turmoil in US. Turmoil in the sense, people were just completely unhappy with the government. Okay, please save us. You're not doing anything. So what Donald Trump said, we will give you free money.
किसके पास गए थे?
Rajesh, can you go on mute?
हाँ, संजय बहुत भूखता हो। दूर से देखता है बस को, हाथ भी
ठीक है, sorry about that. Free money. Jab US government decided to give free money, what happened? Demand, which went to zero after COVID crisis, it went up again exponentially. And when demand goes up exponentially, which went somewhere around 2022, 23, inflation in US went to an all-time high. So after Biden coming into picture, the first thing he said was, he also continued giving free gifts, freebies, but उसने फिर वो रोक दिया because central bank stepped in and said, you are messing up with our economy, please stop giving freebies. ऐसे हुआ था. But at this rate, to curb inflation, US had to introduce interest rate which is as high as 5%. So this is US side of the things, जहाँ पे currently the interest rate is at all-time high, 5.5% तक है, which is quite strange for an economy like US to give 5%, 6% in interest rate. Coming to Japan side of things, okay. Japan is another interesting story. जापान में क्या हुआ है कि people after World War focused a lot on development, but they couldn't develop the tendency to spend. So Japan grew as much as they can based on basic consumption in their own economy plus export business. But after some point in time, they just realized we are not able to grow further. There was stagnancy and they tried their best. Okay. They went to an option where people or countries hardly go, but they decided to give 0% interest on their deposits in bank, pushing the people to consume, to spend. But still, people weren't ready to do that. Japan also went to an extent where they started charging negative interest rate. That you are keeping money with the bank will take 1% from you, not give you interest, take 1% from you. People started keeping money under their sofas, briefcases, lockers, and whatnot. Okay. So Japan really struggled with this, and this phase is basically called as stagflation. Not stagflation, rather deflation ही था. They were in stagflation, but eventually entered deflation. Deflation में क्या होता है? Okay, we have a query. Hello, sir, I'm late. No problem. I think iPhone, is that you, Prasad? Yeah, I guess so. Please change your name. I couldn't figure out who you are. Okay. So what eventually Japan did? Japan said, "Okay, 0% will be consistent. We will try to invest, or rather ask people to borrow as much as we can at 0%, so that there is movement in their economy. There's cash flowing around." इसके साथ क्या हुआ? And at least there is some even currency flow around in forex market, because 0% was quite attractive to foreign investors. So eventually lot of big investors, foreign institutional investors, इनको consider करते हैं. These investors actually got attracted to this, and they decided that we will do something called as carry trade. Now we'll come to the part, what is carry trade? Carry trade में, let's take Japan US carry trade example. Okay, you are Jaiswal. Jaiswal, welcome to the class. Japan US carry trade. See, the hint is that there should be significant difference between two currencies, and secondly, there shouldn't be a lot of change in their currency status. Depreciation या appreciation नहीं होना चाहिए. So in case of Japan, if an investor views these two economies, you will see Japan has 0% interest rate, and you will see US is giving 5% interest rate. So any smart investor will do what? He will go and borrow in Japan. This is step 1 in carry trade. Step 2, he will go and invest in US. And let's take example of around $1,000 equivalent in yen. Okay, so $10,000 equivalent in yen is borrowed, invested in US. US is offering 5%. So based on this 5% interest, this is at T0. So this is happening today. After 1 year at T1, the investor will get back $1,000 plus 5%. Would someone like to try this? क्या total amount होगी?
50.
Exactly, 1050. Guys, whenever you get confused, you can always change this to 10% और उसका half कर दीजिए 5%. So 10% of 1000 is 100, half is 50. So he'll get 50 back. The investor can go back to Japan after 1 year. And interest rate is 0, right? So you have to simply pay back only the principal part. So you will take these $1,000, give it back. You will take these $50 and keep it with you, as you're a smart person. So this is a smart hat, as your profit. Now just imagine earning $50 on $1,000 car loan. Foreign institutional investors are doing this in millions and billions. So I hope you get the scale of profitability these traders were making through this trade, overall trade. But there is one catch in it. The catch is that Japanese to US currency ratio or currency relation, forex rate भी कह सकते हैं, that should be stable. What happened last week was Japan came forward and out of nowhere said, our interest rate is not 0% anymore. We are increasing our interest rate. जैसे ही interest rate increase हुआ, the first thing that happened was, by the way, there's a long theory around relation between interest rate and currency that we cannot cover in today's lecture. That's another whole discussion on purchase power parity. But time being, please understand, take it as an assumption that whenever your interest rate goes up, your currency becomes strong or appreciates rather. It becomes more strong as compared to US. Japan ने interest rate बढ़ा इसके वजह से. Now for this investor, when he is borrowing from Japan, Japanese yen क्या हो गया? Is it an asset for him or a liability for him? He's borrowing. So is it an asset or liability?
Liability.
Perfect. It's a liability. And when your liability is appreciating and your liability is going up, and at the same time when Japanese yen is going up, obviously US dollar depreciate हो रहा है. So your investment is in US, which is an asset. So at the same time, it is dual impact. Your liability is going up, your asset is going down. The overall profit of $50 gets compromised. Your profit kind of comes down. And to control your losses, you have only one option. Wherever you have invested this 5%, just withdraw it immediately, go to Japan and pay off your loan. And this is what happened. And investors were so kind of picky enough, or I don't have any word for it, but investors ideally should go for safe investments while borrowing, but some investors go for risky investments. So a lot of investors in their carry trade don't actually invest in bonds, which is fairly safe. They take this money, go to stock market. So Japan se borrow karke they will invest in US ka stock market. Their liability goes up because yen goes up. US market crashes because of the same. At the same time, USD crashes because of the same. So they immediately have to sell all the stocks, go back to Japan and pay off their loan, so that they are not kind of exposed to higher interest rate, which the Bank of Japan did. This overall is called as carry trade. And this carry trade definitely gets disturbed if there is high inflation or high deflation. And high inflation deflation se क्यों disturb hota hai? Because it disturbs the relation between these two currencies. And that is why eventually our markets crashed, because of just one change by Central Bank of Japan by increasing the interest rate. Is the story clear, interesting enough? Any feedback, any doubts?
सर मार्केट क्रैश में इंटरेस्ट रेट ज्यादा अफेक्ट करेगा या फिर सेल ऑफ करते हैं जो शेयर्स वो ज्यादा अफेक्ट करेगा?
The trigger point is interest rate, but the downward momentum that gets carried on, that is because of the sell off.
ओके.
Guys, any other doubts? No doubts? Okay, interesting enough. As committed, 9:27 को मैंने session खत्म कर दिया. It was supposed to be a 30-minute session. But if you have no doubts, I think you are free to enjoy your rest of the weekend. I would love to hear your feedback. This recording would go on YouTube eventually. So if you want to see any part again, you can. And just a quick feedback rather from existing students. Do you like this kind of setup? Thank you, Shruti. If you like this kind of setup, we can have at least one session every month based on what's happening in the market. This is
Yes,
for you.
yes, sure.
Oh, okay.
Sure,
Thank you.
sir.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
वीक चल जाएगा.
oh, great. That's a huge green signal for me. Sure, we'll plan to do something similar going ahead. Cool. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any doubts, stay back, or else feel free to drop off. Thank you once again.